I think that if you're in a position where you have the opportunity to do whatever you want, then I think if you're able to decide that the goal of articulating your internal dialogue through sound is more important than most of the other things that come with the fame or anything else, then I think that's really the only thing that you need, just to follow that. And at the end of that is who you are, I guess.
Greetings. Welcome back to your Blue Dreamer broadcast. I'm your humble host, as always, Dr. I. Coming through with a new Blue Speak. Today I've got a very special guest, a gentleman that goes by the name Terrorisk, a.k.a. Chris Kimodo. What's good, brother? How you doing, man?
Feeling good, feeling the vibes.
Excellent, excellent. That's how we do. That's what we do here in the Blue Dreamer broadcast. We cause vibrations.
Yeah, man, everything is vibrations for sure.
Exactly. Even sitting still is a vibration. Isn't that crazy?
100%.
Right on, man.
100%.
So I will just say this. I came across you being a fan of Andreas Exertus's YouTube channel, which I've been following for at least like 4 or 5 years.
Great dude.
Yeah, and so like just for sure, he's a capital G forever, and so I've connected with some people, mostly musically oriented people like VBDC Seth. I interviewed him a while ago, and then you have come into my radar as well, just through APM and and just all these other guys, and so I appreciate anyone that he interacts with, especially
I gotta thank him for that.
yeah, especially with the philosophy and just the views, the perspective on everything. Basically,
Yes.
I can't just categorize everything. It's just perspective. So when it comes to music, music is my perspective, basically. I appreciate everything, any type of knowledge or information, or I'm a thinker. I'm always thinking. I'm always I can't shut it off, and to the point to where I talk to myself constantly out loud,
Yes.
just to formulate ideas and to clear my mind, so
Yes.
when I see that someone is musically inclinated, to any degree, it inspires me to ask questions, and basically that's what I do. That's my format. I come from garage bands and just being a rocker, hard rock dude, and then getting into hip hop because my brother showed me hip hop from the 80s, and so it all kind of culminates into who I am. And so that's why I do this broadcast now, is to kind of put all that thought process and all that experience out there for anyone that wants to pay attention.
I got it. I love it. I love every bit of it. Yeah.
So yeah, obviously with you, he always represents people's music, at the end of the show, and when I was hearing you speak of your production and what you do, I was very interested. But I love your philosophical views and the way you perceive things. I identify. I connect with that, and that's cool, man. So
I'm glad.
Yeah, for sure. Respect. And once again, thank you for giving me your time, man. So where does music begin for you? What age? What, when, like, music as far as something so influential that you had to take part into it?
Right. Okay. So music there's my own personal relationship with music, right? And then
Sure.
there's there's like how I view music,
Yeah.
as like separate from me as its own entity. But as far as my personal relationship with music, I would say it started when I was like probably 6. It happened because I was, as an Asian kid, I
Sure.
was forced into like piano lessons, clarinet lessons, and I hated it because, it was never something I really desired for myself. I never really like, what they should have done is they should have taken me to like concerts and shown me how cool music could be instead of just
Interesting.
like, yeah. But no, I mean, like that basically kind of, it didn't teach me anything because you got to want to learn,
Right.
right? But
Right.
like what it did do was it got me comfortable from a very young age with making sounds using instruments, and
Yeah.
willfully.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what I was doing at the time, but the intuitive sensation just remains. It's like a muscle memory kind of thing. And
Right.
fast forward to when I'm 14 years old. That's when I start really making like my first actual friends that I would like,
Yeah.
carry into adulthood and all that. So when I was 14, I've been divorced from music by then for like years already. Cause like after, middle school, I was like, I'm done with piano lessons. I'm not doing this shit anymore.
So
But
when did you actually start taking piano lessons? Was that the first thing, piano? And
yeah, it was when I was 6. My family got the piano player from church, the Korean church,
yeah,
to come to our house and give me lessons.
for
And
sure.
I'm sure, yeah, it was actually productive. I look back and I can't say I didn't learn nothing. Like
Yeah.
I can't say I didn't learn anything. Yeah.
Yeah, but
So,
can you read music? Is it that?
well, funny story about that. I was taught how to read music.
Yeah.
I was taught what the steps were and the staff and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the only thing was like I never paid enough attention to it to identify as a person who
Sure.
could read music. Like
Sure.
I never bothered to memorize it. Like back in like when I was like in elementary school, you could have showed me a piece of sheet music and like I would have been able to play
Yeah.
along like very slowly, like a little kid reading like a picture book or something.
Right.
But after that, when I was like 14, I learned how to play guitar, not really formally, just from jamming with much more talented musicians in my life than me. Like that's who I grew up with basically.
Sure.
But as far as reading music goes, that didn't really connect with me until very recently,
Mm-hmm.
because that's when I started paying more attention to patterns. And as far as like, it's weird, I never really sat down and like forced myself to memorize it, but now I could just like look at it and like, certain things from like would pop up out of my intuition, like every good boy does fine,
Right.
like all good cows eat
Yeah.
grass, or
Ad
all cows eat.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then there's also face. So once
No
once
face.
these things,
Yeah.
yeah, once these things stick in your memory, you kind of just remember it without even meaning to. Like you, and then
Right.
like
I
this was
mean,
always
that's
there.
kind of the
It's just
point, right? I would say, is
yeah,
if you want to call
yeah,
yourself classically trained, whatever that means, like,
yeah, for sure.
which is funny to me because to me it's very foreign. Not, I know basics. Like I took piano lessons as well first. Actually, I took
Yes.
guitar lessons first when I was about 10 years old, and I got tired of playing guitar. So the same teacher that I had offered piano lessons. He's like, "You think you want to try piano?" I was like, "Ah, sure, whatever." And then I got tired of that. And then come like 4 years later, my brother started taking a course in college, and he brought home an acoustic guitar, and I was like, "I want to play guitar again," because he had a guitar. And then I took
Yeah.
lessons again, and I learned basic open chords and power chords. Once I learned power chords, I'm like, I'm done. Like, and so I've just been playing like that ever since. So
No, I
it's all
mean, yeah,
feel related, not I can't read music. I can't,
like if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
But as far as music in itself, though, it can be viewed as like its own language and also reading it. So I would say the way I learned it would be akin to like being thrust into a foreign country that
Right.
you never been in before, and being
And
forced
learn
to
the
live there
tongue.
for
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
being forced to live there for years and years and years, and eventually you pick up the language. You're like, oh, okay, it finally clicks. Like I know how to
Right.
speak this.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I say. I mean, it's like learning anything.
Yeah,
Obviously, you got to learn with your eyes and your ears, but I learn feel first, and that's what I've always stuck with. And so I learn through my ears and my hands more so. And that's why I play guitar the way that
very
I play.
very tactile learning.
Exactly. And for many years I would kind of put myself down and say, "Oh, you're so basic. You're so, your shit is too simple. It's too. But now I take pride in the simplicity because that's all I want. You know, like it's what I've always wanted, but I'm still learning to embrace it to the most. You know, to the highest degree.
100%.
So
100%.
so 14 then is that when you got into punk? You said punk rock music. Were you in a band? You started a band or something, or where did that go?
Well,
Were you
I've
being
been involved.
rebellious? You're like, fuck piano. I'm gonna fucking play guitar in a rock band, punk rock band.
No, 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 no. I mean that would be a lot cooler than what it really was
For
actually.
sure.
It was when I was 14, I had a very that's when my family life started becoming very unstable, and I started
Sure.
spending like a lot of time doing bad kid shit like graffiti, shoplifting,
Yep.
also drinking.
Yep.
Nothing violent, nothing like really like
Yeah.
harming other people. But as far as like rebellious, like talk about rebellious, like I took it up, to 10.
Sure.
So doing that, and as far as that goes, it was like just meeting friends and hanging out with them. And it's like, all right, so if you're a rebellious teen and you hang out with other rebellious teens, what do rebellious teens do? I mean, what are they into when they're not being rebels? Well, apparently they like music. They like
Yep.
making music. They like playing music.
Yep.
When they're not skateboarding
Going
and
to
destroying
shows
shit.
and shit. Yeah.
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 So we go to shows, and I was like, apparently maybe it was destiny, like maybe it's just the way my soul or mind is like set up. Like maybe I was just guaranteed to get along with musicians, to
Yeah.
become friends with musicians. And
Yeah.
it's not like I was friends with them because they played music, but
Right.
yeah, I was friends
But
with
it
them because we
helped.
like to yeah.
Yeah, it helped.
Yeah.
Yeah, same, man, same. Because a lot of the dudes I grew up with, same. Same. I grew up the same way, man. And I wasn't necessarily trying to be rebellious because my parents were actually very supportive and cool as fuck. And it's like,
Yes.
but I liked the connectivity with people, like-minded people. And I felt like I was always the one trying to push harder to be like, dude, let's make a band. Come on, let's do it. And it's like, I still feel that way to this day, that other people can't keep up with me because I'm so enthralled in music. You know what I mean? Like I love
Yes.
music with the most passion ever, and so it's kind of just regulating all these feelings that I had, and even like self-esteem issues, self-doubt, all that, and I'm still learning to deal with it in a way, to accept what I do as something legitimate, something tangible. It's not just a fart in the wind. It's real, like,
All right, I got something that you're gonna like.
please.
So you identify as a spiritual person, correct?
100%.
Okay. So then you're really gonna like this. So my theory on mastery, like whether it's guitar, whether it's music, whether it's any craft, whether it's whatever.
Sure.
In my experience, like I can't really speak for anyone else, but I could speak for myself. I would
course.
say that this also aligns with some spiritual teachings out there. I would say there's like 7 major emotional blockages like on your way to mastery, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first one, the most basic one is going to be fear, like fear of trying
course.
something new,
Yep.
fear of being bad at it, fear of getting hurt, fear of looking stupid, right? Then the second one, after you get over the first one, the second one is guilt. You're going to start feeling guilty of not practicing enough and not being good enough. Like you feel like you should be working harder, so you start to feel guilty. So that becomes an emotional blockage. That's an ego thing, right? Everyone's got their own path. Like that's the truth. The third major emotional blockage is going to be shame. Like you're going to feel ashamed at not being as good as your friends or your peers, or like
Right.
people you compare yourself to. Like that's what you got to get over. You got to get over that everyone's going to be different and right in their own way.
Right.
Then after you get over the third one, then is the fourth one, which is grief.
Right.
And like you're gonna start feeling grief over all the material things in your life that prevent you from doing the thing you love. Like, oh, if only I didn't have to work this shitty job.
Right.
If only I didn't have to deal with this circumstance of life. If only didn't have to deal with this.
Right.
In fact, that thinking is wrong. The truth is everything in your life can be used as a valuable lesson that could be applied to your craft. Anything.
Yeah.
Like literally that's what makes you good. At something is you got to deal with really hard obstacles, get over that, and then you get good.
Right.
So that's the grief. And then after that, the next one is going to be lies. like lies like that you tell yourself and
Right.
lies that other people tell you. Like, oh, what you're into isn't important enough. What
Like
you're into is like,
self-deception, basically.
yeah, it doesn't make money, it doesn't give you security, no one's gonna care about this. Like those are lies you tell yourself, right?
Right.
Okay, this is where it gets heavy, right?
Sure.
So the sixth major blockage is illusion. And this is a really hard one because with illusion, you start to identify as the thing you're trying to master. Like that's not good because you start to develop an unhealthy relationship. Like I'm a
Right.
person, a really, really good guitarist. It's who I am. It's who I'll always be.
Yeah.
Without it, I'm nothing. And what happens if you lose your hands?
Yeah.
Then what? Are you really
Exactly.
just gonna roll over and die? That's what you got to get over.
Yeah.
And then the seventh thing, which is the real true blockage that you have to get over for mastery, is pride.
Yep.
It's like once you get to this level, you're looking down at everyone else and you're like, their problems are no longer your problems, because you've been through all this shit, you've gotten over all the major blockages. So you're looking at them and you're like, fuck him. What do I have to care about them?
Right.
But you get over that when you realize they are you and you are them. Like if you
Right.
believe in a soul,
Yeah.
if you believe in a soul, we're the same soul living out different lives and different bodies and
Yeah.
all that stuff, like
Yeah.
incarnating through different lines.
Yeah.
So if I truly believe if you could get over those 7 major blockages, emotional blockages, when you try to master something,
Yeah.
you'll master it.
Yeah.
And the beautiful part is, once you see the way in one thing, you see the way in all things.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I definitely agree because as someone, who claims to be spiritual, speaking of myself,
Yeah.
music is spiritual. It's everything. It's all around us. You know what I mean? So you have to go through hurdles to not achieve enlightenment, but just to find solid ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no heaven above the clouds. There's no, not that I'm saying I don't believe in that, but I'm one that firmly believes that the mind is so powerful that anything you
creator.
can imagine is there. It's all there. So all you can do is imagine and be okay with imagination. Like you have to be at one. You have to find balance in imagination. And that's why I
Yes.
love music so much. Because
Yes.
anything I can imagine, I can create, Not to its fullest potential, but to my potential, to my fullest potential.
Yeah.
If
I
that
forgot
makes
who said
sense.
this. No, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
The way I look at it, it's like I forgot who said this, but they were like, music is liquid architecture and architecture is frozen music.
Yeah.
If you think about like what the purpose of architecture is to provide a structure so energy and matter can flow through it in and out, make a
Yeah.
home, leave it, whatever.
Yeah.
Music is structured like that, except
Yeah.
it exists on a non-physical plane for the
Yeah.
most part, like less dense than like solid wood or whatever. But
Yeah, it's got solidity, but it's not defined solidity. It's not indefinite solidity. It still has to be liquid again at some point,
yeah,
It has
it's
to.
actually, and I do agree that it's spiritual because music is at its core dealing with oscillations, waves, frequencies, vibrations. Like that's what it's all about. And when you think about that and like just like rudiment, like all the crazy implications it has on nature and its effect on nature. Let's talk about what sound does to water, right?
Literally
Yeah.
on nature.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
let's talk about what sound does to water.
Yeah.
If you look at like cymatic experiments,
Yep.
water takes all these crazy shapes when you apply specific frequencies to them.
Yep.
And then you look at our own bodies. What's most of our body made out of? Water.
Yeah, water.
So yeah. So when you think about it, music has a lot more of an effect, a profound effect on our entire holistic being. Aside from just stuff that goes into our ears.
Right, right. And I also think of mentality. It's like, I love heavy music. I love hard rock. I love metal. I love it like I love anything else. Like as much as I love my 5-year-old daughter, I love that shit. You know what I mean? But when
God
I say
bless.
it, I really mean it. Like that's the thing is no one will understand how much I really mean what I say. I can only hope that someone gets it if they want to. But I'm just saying, like, when someone's like, oh, that shit sounds demonic, or I'm like, no, it doesn't. Like, no, you just don't get it, Has
No, I
nothing to
mean-
do with an image or it's all feel, and the way that I feel when I hear things like that is more passionate. You know, it's that's just my perspective. That's how I see it. You know?
Well, when you say things like that, it makes me think of because like it makes me think of my martial arts practice, and
Sure.
I'm like, on the surface, what is martial arts? It's the act of doing violence upon another human being. It's learning how to like take their bodies apart in a
Sure.
creative way
Sure.
that's like able to be efficient and fast and cool.
Yeah.
So if you're able to look past that, which I would hope like humanity has gotten to a state where we could look
Yeah.
at something like martial arts and be like,
Yeah.
yes, there's more to this than just like harming you.
Yeah.
Like there's more to this than just
That's why they
if
call
anything,
it
that
arts,
yes,
martial
yes, yes.
art.
Well, the word martial, root word being Mars, who is the god of war,
Uh-huh.
and I think the Roman pantheon, which is interesting. So if you break it down, the word martial arts to its actual literal meaning, it's the art of war. It's the schools
Exactly.
of war,
Yeah. Yeah. But it is an
combat. I
art,
should say.
though,
Yes.
and that's the thing is everything is art to me. Everything. Even the way we speak and the words we use and you know, everything is art. That's why I love music so much is cuz you can show an infant music and they'll like it. They'll like it or they won't like it. It's very it's the bottom of the barrel type feels for
Yeah.
anyone, but not
Yeah.
everybody's open to it. So I understand that as well. Like I said, I have
Well,
a
there.
5-year-old daughter and she sings. Her favorite thing to do is sing. She loves to sing and she retains words and she doesn't even know what words they are, but she remembers words to songs that I don't know. I'm like, how do you know? And if she doesn't know the words, she fills it in and she goes with the melody and she goes, and I'm just like, dude, that's so amazing. Like, wow, you really are my kid. Like, it's so crazy to me. Like, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. She's like my greatest science experiment ever, dude, and I love it. And it's like, all right, cool. What are you gonna do next, dude? What's going on? Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's very interesting.
Pure intuition.
Pure intuition, exactly. And it's like I'm like, why do I can't even remember words, even to like my own songs. Sometimes I'm like, oh man, I'm so bad with that. But I have great feel. I have great rhythm. It's like. Sometimes I have to overcompensate or not overcompensate, but I just didn't through pure observation. I'm saying, okay, I lack here, but I'm good here. So that's where you find bandmates. That's where you find people to jam with. That's where everybody can fill in the gaps. It can't be all you all the time. There's just no way. It's not possible.
Yeah.
You know.
Collaboration is definitely important. I agree with that 100%.
But it's also one of the hardest things to do for some reason. For me, in my experience, like I said, I've been playing about 30 years, and it's like I've been in a handful of bands, I've jammed with people and stuff, but to have something really like consistent has been so hard for me. That's why I started making my own music and making my own whatever I could do myself. Is like I had no choice, in a way.
Well, in my opinion, I think when it comes to like trying to make a band work,
Yeah.
the hardest thing isn't to find talented people, or the hardest thing isn't even to find people who like to play with you. The hardest thing is to find musicians who view music as like a path, not a destination.
Right.
Like just a path in and of itself, not a means to a destination. Like,
Yeah.
like when it comes to like again like music, martial arts, or whatever it is I do, the thing is for me it's like practice is the goal. I'm like the minute you start thinking like you could just finally work hard enough and get to a place where you never have to worry about anything ever again, like that's where you lose. Like that's
Right.
it. It's game over
Right.
after that. Like
Right. Yeah.
so yeah, for me, it's like it's just practice is the goal because that's where the magic happens. What you just do it, like whether you're doing it alone or doing it with people, just find every chance you could do to do it. If you truly loved it,
Yeah.
the more you do it, yeah, the better thing, like the more things will happen for you.
Yeah. I think when I think of people that think like, oh, I want to be a rock star. Oh, I want to be in a band. I want to go on tour. Those are it's the journey, not the destination. Not to be hacky about it, but it is the journey, and that's where all the creativity comes from. That's where all the discipline, you know, all the desire to want to be creative and emotive, and I think that's where that comes from without having a goal. You know, the goal is to like want to do more. You know, that's just my perspective, and
No, for sure.
I'm just self-realizing through my musical journey that I've been through that that's just what I've gone through, and I'm still trying to just be creative, you know, and I love working with other people almost, I mean, definitely more than I like doing things by myself, you know, because A, it takes a weight off in a way, but B, I like reciprocation, you know, I like ideas going back and forth as opposed to just me coming up with everything, or me just playing someone else's song and I get no say in it.
Yes, yes.
You know,
No, for sure.
that's what just keeps me creative. I mean, I feel
Yes,
like it could
no.
make me more creative if I was if I was working with other people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest. Like, I'm just thinking now, and I'm like, do I prefer working alone or do I prefer working in teams? To be honest, I would like to think that they're both enriching in their own ways for me. You know, because I'm like, if I get to collaborate, then I mean, that's like a win-win. Especially, you know, it's an experience in and of itself. You learn more, you
Yeah.
experience more.
Yeah.
But then when you work on your own stuff by yourself, you don't have to rely on anyone. You know,
Right.
your failures are your own, but also your successes are your own. So that's also a good feeling, and you don't have to wait on anyone to
Yeah,
make
you're on your own
music or
schedule as well. Yeah.
yeah. So I think it when it comes down to it, like just creativity in general, right? The thing is, like, it's not necessarily a terrible thing if you're able to make an entire song yourself, top to bottom, like
Yeah.
just entirely on your own,
Yeah.
you know, with your own energy. If you could do that, that's good. I mean, even if you did prefer to make and play music with other people, great. I love that too. I especially love working with female vocalists. Like that's like my favorite thing
Same.
ever. I love working
Same.
with female vocalists,
Same.
you know?
Same.
So after, you know, that being said, I like being able to do all of my own music. So if I wanted to add a video component, it's
Right.
not like, oh, three guys on the music, then one guy on the video. It's like, no, it's all me. You know, like
Yeah.
I like to be able to do that
For
because
sure.
I love music. Don't get me wrong; it's very important to me. But I also want to add a visual element to it, and I
Sure.
also want to add like maybe a meta element where it's like a whole sequence of
Yeah.
videos and not just like one
Yeah.
video or something.
Yeah.
Or DJ, you know, like being a DJ really got me into this mind. Like I went from like playing songs with bands to
Yeah.
like playing hour-long DJ sets, and
Same.
kind of like it opens your perspective with like a performance. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, so it's not just about the set list for a band. Like it could be something way different. You know?
Yeah, you know, with DJing, like I was literally a crate vinyl. You know,
That's awesome,
I
man.
used to lug crates and shit. I did that, you know, and I like controlling the room with that. You know, it's like I had so many girls just coming. Can you play this? Can you play? Oh yeah, sure. And then
Hell
they go
yeah.
away, and I play nothing I paid no attention. I'm like, fuck, I don't give a fuck. This is my show. You came to see
Hells
me.
yeah.
Fuck that. You know, it's like just shut up and listen. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just go with
Just
it.
shut up and listen. Just come on. It's gonna get better. Trust me. But you know, and so that taught me a lot. And you know, I've said that I love the evolution of technology through all of my experience. Like,
Yeah.
I was there when analog was all that there was, and then slowly
And when the
technology started
internet
seeping through. You know.
and the internet was like a big thing because I mean, what did it like really took away a lot of the mojo from record labels, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, that's music is industry is dead. You know, it's definitely it's really dead now. I mean, it's you could see
100%.
when it started dying, but once people could record at home on computers and you know upload everything to like MySpace and you know whatever direct
Well, my take
connectivity
on
to anyone listening. You know.
Yes. As far as the death of the industry goes, though, I feel it's a good and bad thing. You know, it's a great thing because we're finally liberated. You know, we don't have to we're not at the mercy of these companies that
Sure.
force, you know, that determine whether or not we could distribute our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it creates a power vacuum. And what I wouldn't want to happen is a cycle. You know, where to turn into like the music industry 2.0 comes and does the same shady things and like the
Right.
same stuff, delving into some satanic things, like
Sure. I mean,
hopefully
it's
they don't do
there.
that
It's
too.
still there. It's the old guard is there. You know, what I mean, they're trying to keep it going as much as possible, and
Yeah.
and there's always going to be people feeding into it. It's just what it is. That's life. You know, what I mean, it's not for everybody, and I feel like it's getting less and less. What I'm noticing now. So I follow a lot of websites that like Metal Injection and whatever websites that post things about this band's going on tour, this album's coming out, the basically music news. For me,
Yeah.
that's like my favorite shit to hear about. But I'm just noticing such a decline in touring, in the money that they're making on touring. Live Nation was cutting a percentage out of merch and all the shit with Spotify, and they're just I mean, musicians are always getting robbed constantly, but now they're like overstepping their bounds, and it's dying out. It's like I feel like at some point, and these are bands that are big and have been big, and they rely on this to make their money, but that's going away. They're gonna have to start playing backyards and boys and girls clubs again. I don't know what's gonna happen.
I mean, like imagine a world, right, where every single person was a music producer and knew how to play an
Sure.
instrument.
Sure.
Like what would I mean, that would be a beautiful thing, but it would also be kind of a terrible. It would be a very
Mm-hmm.
sad thing, like as a person who dedicated so
Oversaturated.
much, yeah, so much of their life and energy into doing this thing to make stuff that they love, and then realizing, oh, this is as natural to us as breathing or walking.
Yeah.
Like everyone can do this. Everyone
Yeah.
does do this.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe that's the way we ought to be. Maybe that's what evolution is going to look like for us.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I
I mean, you
love.
say it's oversaturation is one way to look at it, but we could
Yeah.
also look at it as like humanity elevating. It's like, we don't need to rely on musician. Everyone's a musician. So
Yeah.
what can we do with that? What can we do with that innate ability? It's like,
It would make communication between those that really felt that way a lot easier. I
yeah,
do agree with that. I just think of kids that I see on Instagram that are like 9 years old and they shred, or they can play fucking crazy orchestral. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh, it's amazing. I'm amazed by it. I'm not jealous. I'm always amazed by it. But then it's like, well, reincarnation is real. It has to be. Look at this. Come on, please. Like, the evidence is right in front of your face.
like
So
like a soul imprint.
that's why I don't take it personally, because I'm like, oh, okay, this fool's been alive many, many, many times, and he was a musician every time. Maybe I just haven't caught up to how many reincarnations he had. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it
Yeah,
feels. That's how it feels. And I think with Instagram, social media, and just seeing these things happen in basically real time, it's just like, wow, okay. But it doesn't bother me. It doesn't, I know so many people that's like, fuck that kid. It's like, bro, it's just, come on. It's real. It's really happening. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it's all AI or whatever. I don't know. I don't know that kid. I've never seen his face, but that looks pretty crazy and it looks pretty real to me, So it's very interesting. The landscape it's evolved in a way, I would say, just in my own observations, but everyone has a part to play. Every single individual has a part to play. I
yeah,
call it a spectrum, when I speak of those kinds of things. It's like, it's a spectrum. So we all fit. The spectrum is infinite, basically, yet we are the pieces in the light bright, like, what color are you? Where do you situate yourself? It's like there's room for everybody. There
yes.
has to be. you know?
Well, it's also everything does have polarity, right? Which means
Sure.
literally that means it exists on a spectrum. Like,
Yeah.
and if you look at like its polarity, you would realize they're just two of the same thing, like hot and cold.
Right.
Hot and cold are really like it's the same thing, just
Yep.
like the absence or the majority of something, or it's
Sure.
like light and dark, or good and evil.
Yeah.
Like also male and female. It's like
Yeah.
there's always going to be like some sort of polarity at play, and that literally means there's a spectrum between those two extremes.
Right.
And another thing you could guarantee is that nothing ever stays in one end or the other. It's always moving. You can't
Exactly.
stop it. Nobody could ever
It's
freeze
constant.
that. And
Yeah.
yes, and that is vibration. That is literally vibration. It's when
Exactly.
something moves from one state to another, and it's like the frequency of that is the rate at which it's shifting.
Yeah. Sometimes
and,
faster, sometimes slower.
And the idea is like if your emotional states are running like vibrations and patterns and a frequency, then speed it up. And the more you speed it up, it becomes a superposition.
Yeah.
And I think that's what evolution. That's what elevating, raising your consciousness or raising
Right.
your vibration is really
Vibration, yeah.
about. Instead of like spending hours angry, then spending hours happy, then spending hours sad, like go through it all in a minute. Angry, sad, happy, like so fast where it's like not like what is it? Like not like like in a kind of mentally dysfunctional way, but
Right.
more so like perspective based way. It's
Exactly.
like, oh, I know why I'm angry right now. It's like, okay. And then now I know I'm happy because I know it. And then now I know I'm happy. And then now I
Yeah.
get over that. It's like now I'm sad, but then I get over that. It's like if you could reach that state of just which resolves to nothingness pretty
Yeah.
much, then you see it. Then,
Like a
then you- then you know-
refined perspective, very
Yes.
refined to the most minuscule point to where the polarity doesn't disturb you.
Yes,
You
'cause,
know?
yeah.
There's no
It's moving at-
disturbance. It's
yeah.
just like, oh, well, this is this and that's that. And there we go. Like,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
still going. I still got to get up and go to work. And
Yep.
I
Yep.
still want to make some music. And, it's like, yeah, no, I get that.
I want to hang
for
out with my
sure.
friends, like I want to be with my family.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that.
It's basically turning life from like like a horror show that you just can't look away from, you're forced to
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
into like into a really fun interactive game
Yeah.
that you just love playing.
Yeah. Do you just on what you said right there, do you feel like more people are starting to realize that now, or has it always have people always been realizing that? And this is just I'm just asking.
To
Just
that
curious.
question I say
Yeah.
to that question I say this, like I'm kind of an idiot, like I'm not a billionaire.
Same.
I'm not like I'm not a professor or anything. I'm not like anyone with security clearance or working in the government or anything like that. But even I was able to come across this truth of like
Sure.
alignment of mind, body, and soul, and
Sure.
realizing reality is probably downstream from consciousness, honestly. And like, the scary it's not really scary, but the thing is like. The kicker is that the rich people, the billionaires of the world, and all the powerful people, they're all in on this too. Like they know about this shit. They don't
Sure.
talk about it because like the masses didn't really care for a long time, but
Sure.
now people are starting to like wake up to it.
Sure. But I
I think that's
feel
evolution.
Yeah, but I feel like even those people don't understand it as well. Not all, some do, some don't. It's like you can't look at people a certain way because they were born into, wealth, or they're just as lost as any. We're all lost,
Well, here's a fundamental part of initiation. Whether you're talking about spirituality,
Sure.
whether you're talking about secret societies, magic circles, like Masonic
Sure.
Masonic lodges, you have to get over this one thing,
Mhm.
and this is going to be very hard for some people to like really accept and like integrate.
Sure.
But the idea is, we have a soul. It lives forever, and everyone is ultimately the same soul living out different lifetimes in different bodies.
Yep.
Like if you could accept that, if you could get over that, then everything opens up to you. All the magic, all the divine blessings,
Sure.
all the theological insight, whatever you want to call it, like whatever you're seeking, that's how you find it, is to accept that idea. Like your body, your brain, your thoughts, all that stuff, that's not who you are. You're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, you're not just your body.
Yep.
You're something else.
Yeah.
That's something that you can only discover phenomenologically through like experiences stacked
Yeah,
on
in the
top of each
Vedas they
other.
call it spirit soul. You are
Yeah.
the spirit soul. That's what
Yes,
you
sir.
are. Yeah, no, 100%. I'm big into the Vedas, dude. I got a book. I got the Bhagavad Gita as it is, in like 2006, and
Yeah.
so it's a Hare Krishna book, And ever since then, that was the beginning of my spiritual journey. I mean, my spiritual journey has been since birth, because I remember when my parents went to a Catholic church, so I grew up Catholic. And then, I was like 12 and going to catechism, and I did all that stuff. But like, I remember having a picture Bible and like all the stories and Jesus, and I was like, yeah, I know, yeah, of course, duh, all this is, yeah, I know all
Yeah.
like I would hear God, and I'm like, yeah, I know who God is, duh, don't you? Like, doesn't everybody, like, that's just how I've
Very.
always felt,
It was just intuitive.
and once God showed himself to me and like told me his name, then I was like, oh, okay, like, cool, even better. Now it's personal, like, respect,
Yeah.
thank you, and that's how I live I don't want to get too spiritual or
No, it's fine, dude. I completely I have like I would say like a lot of my experiences were similar. Like
Yeah.
I never once sought God. Honestly, I wasn't raised religious. I never
Sure.
sought spirituality, but it was just more so an accident
Yeah.
because there was a point. This was a few years ago actually. It was very recent, and
Yeah.
what happened was I went through a bad breakup like with someone I was living with, and I ended up getting my own place. So for the first time in my life, I was living alone, no roommates, no girl, no family, no
Yeah.
nothing, just me alone.
Yeah.
That gave me a lot of time to think.
Yeah.
And while I was in this phase of like rebuilding my life, there was a martial arts tournament, and I was like, this is it. I'm just gonna completely commit to this and nothing else, and I'm just gonna like really focus on this. And I told everyone, I was like, if I don't get first place, I'm gonna shave my whole head.
Wow.
And I told everyone, like my friends, family, everyone in my dojo, they were like, yeah, all right, we'll see about that. So
Did you have
so
long hair? Or?
no, I mean
It's
it's
just
still,
regular.
like,
Okay. I thought maybe
yeah,
you had
so-
long hair. They'd be like, "Oh shit, you're gonna shave your head, dude!" Like,
No, it would have been wearing my defeat, like
Yeah, I
so I trained super duper hard. I completely overhauled my diet. I cut out a lot of bad like habits,
yeah,
and I ended up winning. I won the tournament.
Nice.
I got first place. Yeah,
Nice.
and after that, right, there was something weird happened.
Yeah.
Like after I won, I was in such because before that I never competed in anything in my life. Like I never really tried to win anything like that. So this is the first time I really went for something and I won. And like it was like a shift in reality. I can't explain it. It's like if I was viewing reality through one like tuning, it's almost like that tuning completely shifted into
Sure.
a different tuning, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I basically turned into like a different person.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, I could do things if I put my mind to it. Like
Sure.
where there will be people standing in my way trying to prevent me, and it wouldn't matter
Sure.
yeah. So knowing that, like I was waiting online to get my first place medal and all that stuff, and I got this really weird image of like one of my exes in my head,
Mhm.
just the thought of her being with like some other guy, and
Yeah.
that image came out of nowhere, and I
Yeah.
was like, it was so bizarre
Interesting.
because like it's not even why we broke up, but I'm just saying like that came up, and I was like,
That's like
I
the
just
worst
instantly-
case scenario. Just
but I instantly I said no. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like in my mind I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Like
Yeah.
this is a very high point in my life. I'm not going to ruminate on this.
Yeah.
And suddenly I think that was like me like pushing me down like a very slippery slope of like understanding what
Sure.
that was.
Yeah.
That was basically that's what my mind did all the time before then. Maybe
Yeah.
not with that one example, but like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
terms
yeah.
of other things. It's a safety mechanism. My ego did that so that it makes sure I don't overinflate my ability, and it keeps me like realistic, I guess, so I don't take
Yeah.
unnecessary risks. But that could become a limiting factor, and
Right.
that experience was like, because my new reality was so different than that old program running,
Yeah.
it just didn't fit anymore, and I was like, no, this isn't, that's not what we're doing. And
Yeah.
and then
Time for
that
a
was
reboot.
like the first,
Yeah.
yeah, and that was the first piece. The second piece was David Grush going before Congress and like admitting to like aliens, which sent me down an insane rabbit hole, very dark. I learned about like satanic rituals and
Yeah.
like in the government and in the music industry and how all that stuff.
Yeah.
And
And how
then I
long
was
ago
like-
was that? How long ago was it? Like how old
like
are you
2
at the-
years ago.
Oh, just
Like
recently.
this is
Oh,
recently,
shit.
yeah.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
I was like, I got so bad, I was like shit scared, I was like, So I obviously I looked up a solution. It's like, what's the solution? What do we do about all this? And everyone says, raise your consciousness, raise
Yeah,
your consciousness,
right.
raise
Yeah,
your consciousness, and
right.
then you'll be all right. I was like, what does that mean? Raising
Yeah.
your consciousness.
How?
So I googled that,
That's funny.
and then that sent me on an insane journey. And it's not even like I was learning anything really new.
Yeah.
I realized I was just being reminded of things I've always known,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, fuck. It's
Yeah.
like all it really took was my own faith, was my
Yeah.
own, yep, you know what?
Same.
Fuck it. No one could prove this right. No one could prove this wrong. It's a
Yeah.
choice. Do you want to believe this? And I say yes. I'm
Yeah.
going to trust life. So my life at the age of 32 completely shifted on its head because I decided to trust life.
Yeah.
And that's my advice to people. It's like, trust life. Like, you can't live
Yeah.
your life with like being distrustful of life. And you could call it God, you could call it the universe, you could call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I stumbled into my spirituality, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I mean, even trust yourself. I
Yeah,
mean, you're
yeah.
the one going.
God is within you.
You
Yeah.
are you are your own Sherpa. You know what I mean? Like you have to know the terrain without knowing the terrain in a way. Like
Yeah.
it's very interesting, man.
And it's a beautiful thing. I love it. I'm so
Me
thankful
too.
for it.
Same.
I'm so
Same.
thankful that I went through that. I was like, shit,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I mean, I got married, had a kid, and got divorced within like 3 years. Like,
yeah.
it was crazy. And that was the most chaotic. Everything that came after that was complete chaos, and like, it was crazy. It was crazy. But now it's now, and I'm better
Hells yeah.
for it. And just like you're saying, it's all part of what helps you realize what life really is and how to accept it. I'm still
Yes.
learning, but it's gotten
Same here.
so much easier, and not even easier. It's just, I have the mind for it, and I love it and I appreciate it.
And back to what you're saying before about like how I notice like more people now. It's because we've been blessed at this point in time by so many sages, so
Sure.
many mystics,
Sure.
so many wise like people before us
Sure.
who left behind their wisdom. And like Carl Jung, like with his Dark Night of the Soul, because that's really what we're talking about, is the Dark Night of the Soul. It's that point of like not like non-drug induced ego death, where it's just like the breakdown of who you are and who you thought you were, and realizing it was all BS.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
true. The false ego,
You're not your job. You're not your band. You're not your hobbies. You're not your marriage. You're not you're not any of these things.
Yeah.
You're not your relationships.
Yeah, and honestly, the art of letting go is very helpful, and it is an art. It really is, just as
Yeah.
much as music. It really is, and I've learned to
It's
tune into
it's a
that.
mental art. It's a mental art.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get okay. So I want to get back more into music because this is a music podcast.
Hell's yeah. Let's do it.
But I
Nah,
love.
at least we got over our whole spiritual
I
thing.
love-
Like yeah.
I'll go do. I don't care. It's my show. I don't give a fuck. I'll do whatever the fuck I want.
Hell's yeah.
So you were you in a band, like a punk rock band, like,
I've
or you were just
played
jamming
in
with
it.
friends, or
I played in a band, but I also started my own band, and we
Okay.
only played like 2 shows
Okay.
until it eventually broke up. But when I started getting to electronic stuff,
yeah,
it was easier to start quote unquote bands because
Right.
it's like we don't need the studio space, we don't need a drummer, like
Right.
this is just me and a singer.
Headphones
So I
and-
did so I did a lot of that.
cool. And how long ago did you start doing that stuff?
Oh, the electronic stuff was
Yeah,
basically it's when I first went to a rave. Like once I started
Nice.
raving, yeah.
nice.
Like my first, because as a punk or like a musician, just an analog musician, going to
Yeah.
those raves, like
Yeah.
understanding music at least, like to the
Yeah.
point where I could write my own songs.
Yeah,
And then I go to a rave and I see what they're doing, and I'm like, holy shit,
yeah,
this is crazy.
Yeah,
And that really got me into it, and it got to the point where I didn't just want to spin records, I want to make tracks,
Yeah.
and that got me into FL Studio,
for sure.
and that started that whole rabbit hole, and I got pretty decent at it, honestly.
Nice. But how long ago would you say? Like years?
Oh,
wise?
this is I first started raving at like 22.
Okay.
And I'm 33 now.
Okay. Respect.
And I was like 21 when
Okay.
I started raving.
Yeah,
I've been going to shows since I was like 14 though. So
Yeah, I had friends, like I said, in high school. I grew up playing in bands, and then like in my 20s, I was still playing, but in your 20s, to me, it was more, I had friends that were rave kids too, you know. So it's like I
Yeah.
hung out with them, and you know we would party and shit. But I was like the rocker guy, and they were the rave kids. But I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, and they would show me shit.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, same
to
here,
this
yeah.
day, one of my favorite all-time albums is "Who Needs Guitars Anyway" by fucking Alice DJ. I still bump that shit, dude. Like,
Yeah.
and that's old
Yeah.
school shit, but still, it's like it just gives
There's
me
still
vibes.
stuff like that, yeah.
It just gives me
There's-
vibes, and that's it. You know, like it's music. It's all music to me. I don't care how you
There,
make
there's
it. You know?
literally there's this track, there's this electronic hardcore track
Yeah.
by this guy Anger Fist, and
Okay.
the whole track is literally sampling like Henry Rollins going on a sick rant
Rant,
against
yeah.
like electronic music. He's like, God, this fucking sucks, and you hear just the kick going, ball,
Yeah.
ball, ball. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's like, what came first, the drugs or the shitty music?
Both.
So funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But yeah, that's been going on for a while, and like I do love yeah, what I did love was going to shows, getting
Yeah.
drunk. But then the thing about like going to shows and like drinking the beers with your friends, like the show would end by like 11 or 12, and we all had to like leave, shuffle out of the
Yeah.
venue and whatever.
Yeah.
But when you go to when I went to my first rave, I was like, you're
Yeah.
telling me we're gonna stay here till sunrise,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
doing
yeah.
drugs and like
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
like hanging out, like
Yeah.
and like bumping this
And
music,
music
like,
is just
all-
bumping the
yeah.
whole time. Yeah. I never went
It's
to
like
raves, but I live in San Diego,
Yeah.
California, and just, you know, literally 10 minutes south is Tijuana, Mexico, TJ.
Yeah.
And so we would go party there when we were like 16 years old. And the clubs just, we'd come back, it'd be like 6 a.m. So it's like, I've done that kind of like partying where you're just all night and
All night.
yeah, you know, and it's fun when you're young. But now, I mean, definitely couldn't imagine doing that shit now. But it was a lot of fun, you know? It's like we had a
Yes.
lot we weren't there to be fucking assholes or, you know, be dirtbags, but it was just to go
No, it's great.
dance and
It's
have
great.
fun. You know, it was
Yeah.
good times. It was good times.
Be alive to
yeah,
live.
yeah. So, so when you started making beats and stuff, you said FL Studio. Did you start like gear wise? You just bought a computer and just fucking? Because I used to fuck with Fruity Loops too, man, for a while, and I'm kind of considering going back to it. Like I would think I would fuck with Fruity Loops now over like Logic or any of the new shit.
Yeah, my first thing was honestly the DJ decks electronically, because
Oh,
like
okay.
you know, before that it was like guitars, amps, and you
Yeah.
know, kits and all that shit, and like one interface with a laptop and Audacity, you know, and like
Mhm.
trying to like do it because I didn't know
Same.
shit about production. I only knew how
Yep.
to jam.
Yep.
So then but once I got into DJing, that taught me how to go work around a mixer and
Yeah.
decks, and like really learned how to like EQ on the fly and
Yep.
learn what you're doing with those like different band knobs, you
Yep.
know, and all that stuff.
Yep.
And once I was able to like carve out the sound to be able to fit together when you're doing a mix, like
Yeah.
that's what got me into saying it's like, okay, so one of the things that I came into that I had before electronic music was song structure. Like I knew that every song has to follow a specific build. You know, it's like architecture, right? It's
Yep.
liquid architecture. So it has to follow a certain structure that flows in a certain way, one after the other, like scenes in a movie, like scene 1 or act 1 and
Sure.
act 2 and act 3.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Or like a poem, like, you know, first stanza, second stanza, and all that
Yeah.
stuff. There's a structure to it. So once you learn that structure, music, that's like a dimension of music that you've like really mastered. Like no matter what sounds you're using, at least you understand like different parts of a song and how they go together and how
Yeah.
they go into each other.
Yeah.
So DJing led to Fruity Loops, like FL Studio, a pirated copy of FL Studio, and
Same.
for yeah, it was a very long learning curve. Like I really didn't know what I was doing for a long time. What saved me was YouTube. YouTube
Okay.
taught me everything. YouTube did God's work. You know, it was like literally just teaching me everything. And
Yeah.
and then eventually, like I kept doing that, and I got like higher paying jobs, like, you know, like working hard, and I was like, okay, so now I could afford plugins, and now I could
Yeah.
afford an actual license for real
Yeah.
FL Studio. Now I could afford money for monitor speakers, and I could actually hear my things accurately.
Yeah.
And now it's to a point where, because I got so good at that over the years, like many years, like 10 years, probably more than that now, like I have friends who play actual instruments, and if they ever like recorded their own drum stems and bass lines and their guitar or their mids or whatever, I could literally produce them a freaking banger. Like
Yeah,
I
a
could
remix,
really
yeah.
I mean, that's what I do, like mostly.
Yeah.
Like it's like I hold myself to such a high standard where I'm like, my shit sucks, my shit sucks, and then my friends would be like, could you mix this for me? And I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem, and it makes
Yeah.
it sound like banging. Apparently,
Yeah.
I really think it's because like you are your own worst enemy. You know, it's
Of
like you're gonna be
course.
your own, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
your own worst critic.
Same, and what I do with what I do now, because I do beat production, I love production. I've always loved, like, at one point, I really did want to be an engineer, like
Yeah.
a musical engineer. And I mean, at first, I wanted to be a rock star. Not really, but I
No, me too,
remember,
man.
I
That was
remember,
so cool.
I remember sitting in my room at like 16 years old one summer, dude, and like I was playing guitar. I had a nice rig, I had pedals, I had everything, and I was like buying tab books and like learning songs, a lot of like Rage Against the Machine and System of a Down and all these fucking
Good
songs,
shit.
Incubus and all kinds of shit. I was learning good shit and learning their tricks. What I was doing was learning their tricks and tonality and okay, like, I pay attention to, especially Tom Morello. He taught me a lot of things tonally
He's an innovator.
as opposed to his wiki scratching, all that. Like, everybody's amazed by that, but I'm like, dude, his tone is sick, and the way, like, so my angle is a little contorted, but it was for my advantage. It was, I'm a tone guy. So I remember one summer I was just sitting there like 16 years old, like, dude, are you going to give everything to this? Is this what you want to do? And I said no. And that's why I've never, quote unquote, made it, whatever that means. But even now, some of my friends would be like, dude, I still like want to fucking, and I was like, no, that's not even the point. Like, I disappointed myself back then. Like, I wish I would have stuck with it in a real way. But to me, it's like what I'm doing now, I love too. Like, I can love both. So I do what I do, but my approach is just very simple. It's very simplistic. So it's easy for me, but it's also, like, easy to understand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally.
So I try not to overcomplicate anything because, I mean, that's how I live my life first. And then also with music, it's like the best things in music to me are the simplest things. It's like, do I wish I could fucking shred and just fucking, sure, and I feel like I could if I really wanted to learn. But at the same time, it's like, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay with what I have, you know? I could easily
Yeah.
sit and just fucking stream YouTube videos all day and learn fucking pentatonic scales and all this shit, and I never did, but it shouldn't be a hindrance. It should just be, well, this is the path you chose, and so accept your fate, in a way.
For sure.
That's how I see it.
I mean, guitar was funny for me because guitar was something I had to learn like the old school way, as you would say, because
Sure.
it was all like my friends would teach me some chords, and I would try to like awkwardly play my chords, but eventually, like I learned, oh, you could play it in different orders, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then I started like learning the scales and like the different octaves and all that,
Yeah.
and that was fun. And once I put two and two together, which was actually pretty recently, like I was never that intuitive of a guitarist.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like I'd say like 4 or 5 years ago where I really got comfortable. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what happened. Like I just picked it up, and at first like I would struggle to like keep up sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. But this time there's like no, it's like effortless now. It's like I never felt that before as a guitarist until like I was like, I don't know, 29 or something, or
Yeah.
20, 28. That's when I truly felt I was like, okay, now I get it. It's like it's more natural to me now. It's not something
Yeah.
I have to really think about.
So I made a note here. It says musical philosophy. So I feel like what I just said, as far as simplicity, that is my philosophy in music. What is yours? Like, what do you think? Simplicity for me is what defines my musical philosophy. I don't know why I'm just saying that. Like, I literally just said that. I looked at the note and I'm like, okay, well, I believe wholly in simplicity. That doesn't mean it's remedial or I mean, it's not. It's I do what I
Yeah,
do because that's the way I do it. But for me, my main goal is simplicity because it just flows easier, I guess. I don't know.
100%. I would say my musical philosophy, what got me good, what keeps me good, what keeps me getting better is quote unquote, practice is the goal. Okay.
Sure.
For all you listening out there, practice is the goal. That's where the magic happens. Like, yes,
Yeah.
playing shows is nice, winning accolades is nice, gaining merit is nice,
Yeah.
gaining influence is nice. But honestly, the goal should always be practice, because without practice, you don't get any of that shit.
Yeah.
So make your primary goal not a destination, but the path, which is practice.
Sure.
That's how I approach martial arts, and that's how I fucking got good
Yeah.
at like swinging a sword. You know, like
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Respect. And, and the art is the art through all
Yeah.
arts. Capital A.
and the key and the practice is the goal. And I think that aligns with yours. I think that's a very simple philosophy, right? Practice
Yes.
is the goal.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure. So
You
how
can be as
okay.
deep as you want. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's why simplicity to me is the base level. You can go as deep as you want. That doesn't
Yes.
mean what you find is simple, but to have a simple starting point, I think is a good way. That sounds cool. I like that. I'm literally just thinking that right now. Like, all right, I'll give myself a little. That sounds pretty cool. I like that
Hells
for
yeah.
myself.
Yeah. Got to write
Respect.
that stuff down, man.
Yeah. So you were
'Cause
talking
that's the stuff
about.
you pass down.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
were
yeah.
you saying?
No, you were talking about visuals too, like with your sound. What do you mean, like as far as, because you sent me your YouTube channel and you're doing live remixes, or do you mean visual, like art visuals, like
No, I don't mean like art visuals. I literally meant it like at least
like have cameras on while you're doing what you're doing?
Well, it's also because the act of like doing it the way I would do it, which is
Sure.
have a camera there recording with like me actually playing certain elements live,
Sure.
right?
Yes.
While it's not all live,
Yes.
like some of the elements are pre-programmed because I
Of
only
course.
have two hands, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
do all of it
Yeah.
myself.
No. Yeah.
So that being said, like what I really wanted to express wasn't really mastery. It was more so just the flow, the sense of natural, organic production.
Yes.
Not something that was like programmed over hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of cutting, mixing, editing, cutting, mixing. I love that
Right.
stuff. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I love
Yeah.
a very, very overly produced, well produced, but overly produced track. I
Sure.
love that shit. Don't get me
Sure.
wrong.
Sure.
But I think there's something special. It feels like martial arts to me because like the idea is, the goal is let's see how programmed we can make this sound, knowing it's my fingers playing the drums, or it's my
Right.
fingers like doing this, or it's like me like activating these patterns, like, or these triggers. Like,
Yeah.
can I be this exact? And it feels like a video game. It's fun. And
Yeah.
it's like I think people get that sense when they're watching it. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, this is pretty fun. It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's fun to listen to. Yeah.
So there's this guy. I actually I had a podcast with a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, last year, and it kind of led to what I'm doing now. But we were kind of talking more like conspiracies and different things. It wasn't
Yeah.
so much
can
just
talk about conspiracies.
music. Yeah. Dude, I've been into conspiracies since the '90s, so it's like
Yeah.
none of this shit surprises me. But
Well, it's fucked up to me because it's like, dude, nothing's changed. It's been the same
no,
shit for like years and years.
That's
and
why
years.
I'm tired of it. I'm like, nah, it's old. It's all old news.
Yeah.
Nothing is
Yeah.
new.
True.
But
True.
so I interviewed this dude that I had started following on Instagram, and he basically, he chops samples and he plays drums on pads, but he does it live, and he does it almost every fucking day. He'll go to street corners and just set up. He's got a nice JBL, one of those big ass speakers on his electric bike, and he just posts up certain spots and he just performs live. And he sets up a mic so anyone can come and just sing if they want to sing, or if you want to play an instrument or jam or what. He's just open. His name is
You know what's funny?
Lord Drucifer. He's fucking sick as fuck, dude.
What's funny is that the way like you talk about this stuff like sampling, but
Yeah.
I just want you to know, like, it might not even work for you. It might only work for other producers experiencing you, but you're like the perfect well for like samples. Like the way you talk, you're just like
Oh, yeah.
chop samples.
Yeah. Well, I
plays
know I
live,
grew up with hip hop. I know how to do it. Like I do it as well.
Yeah.
So, I remember, one time, I think it was last year, I was like, bro, is it cool if I come and jam with you? And what I did is I bought an a.k.a. Like a controller just to trigger samples off of my iPad. And so I chopped up all these samples and I lined everything up with the pads. And I was like, I'm going to come and just trigger, you know, while you're jamming, I'll just do like, I know how to do like kind of scratch effects on just a, you know, on a pad and just different shit. You know, like I said, I've been doing this shit a long time. So, it didn't work. It didn't work out. Like I didn't have the right plug to plug in the speaker. So I was just like, oh, I hung out for a while. I was like, hey, can I just get on the mic? He said, go ahead. And so I just improvise. I love singing. Like I improvise. I can improvise anything, anytime. I don't rap, but I'm a vocalist. I like to sing. I know melody and I know, like, I've got a good voice for singing.
I was
So-
never great at singing. I was
I
I was more of a rhyme guy.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm a good singer. I'm a good melodic like singer. I always have been, but I've just gotten better and better and taught myself how to sing. So I got up and I did it. I was like, fuck it, you know, and like people are walking by and I'm just freestyling like as they're going. And like, that was one of my most, I mean, I'll do karaoke, like shameless, bro. I'll get up and I have no shame,
Yeah.
but people always clap. They're always like, bro. And I'm like, I know. Like, I don't got a big head, but I pay attention.
No, you tap into your higher self.
I
when
pay
you sing.
attention, man, and I'm a soulful person. That's just the way I am. So my delivery is very soulful. So I always sing like oldies. I sing old songs. Like, you know, my cousin will host karaoke at a VFW, and it's all old vets and stuff. So I know to sing old music, you know, like old doo-wop, and that's what I grew up with, Motown. I can sing that shit. And they're just like, oh shit. I'm like, hey, bro, like, you know, that's just what I do. Like, I love it.
Hells yeah.
It's fun. It's fucking fun, you know, and it's practice. To me, that's how I practice singing, is to go do karaoke so I can keep my chops up. Be like, you know, I'll plug one ear and like, okay, am I in key? Blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know what the fuck, but I just do it, you know, and I love it. It's fun, you know. So to me, like you're saying, the flow, when you're triggering samples and you're playing the beat, you know, that's what I do too. I use my voice. My voice is my strongest instrument because it comes from within me. It's not external, it's internal, you know.
Yeah.
So I've just had to learn to really like pay attention to key, and you know, I'm no expert. I'm not even, but I've learned to train my voice to fit. You know, it's like just a little bit. It's like I don't know how to. You could play a note. Like, I don't know what note that is. Yeah, exactly. Modulation. You know, it's like self-modulation to. That's just what I do, and so I write my own songs now in that way, and I love it, man. It's all expression. It's all fun, you know. So, how do you feel about promotion? I've made another note. It's like if you were, what do you do? Like, what are you trying to do with your music? Just put it out just for you, or?
Well, the thing was, like, I get what I know why you're asking this, because like the truth is, like, I spent so many fucking years just trying to get good, like just trying to get good at music.
Yeah.
And it's like it's my fault. I neglected promotion, which is an integral part of it. I neglected a lot of stuff. Like I neglected a lot of the distribution. I mean, because it's not that I don't know how to do it, because I'm on Spotify and all that stuff.
Sure.
Like, I know I have like the distributors in place. It's just I was like, I'm just producing so much stuff like constantly, like in terms of music. Like if I really wanted to, like, and it's for some reason it just feels more productive to just put it on YouTube, like because a lot of it is like live in nature, and the stuff that I would actually produce and like, you know, with no video element, just completely programmed. It's like that I pour in so much energy, so much stress, so much like time into even one track. It's like, it's almost like I'm afraid. Like I'm afraid of like really devoting to like no video. Like there's no video this time. This is just a straight real track. And I'm like, fuck, can I like, I gotta really do that. Like you're right. You pointed out something great. Like, you know, like I'm realizing this now. Like I have to really like make my next banger, you know, like shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just think of promotion because it's, you know, it's like I spend so much time creating, like you're saying, and I've tried to put out things. Like last year I put out a 2-song single. I think I showed you my Devotee, my solo project thing, you know, and it's like, it's just a 2-song single. You know, I had a friend like help me with the art cover, but I actually did most of it myself. So I know how to do visuals. I know how to do my style in visuals as much as I know how to do my style in music and my voice and all that shit. But nothing caught on really. So that's where I'm like, promotion outside of your sphere of understanding of what you know how to do. How do you get
Well-
outside of that? You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's what I think, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the best. I could be wrong about this.
Sure.
I mean, if you want to go like purely by metrics and statistics
Right.
and numerics or whatever,
Sure.
like you just want the numbers. Maybe what I say wouldn't really count, but I truly believe that the best form of promotion now is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Like when you get on your friend's podcast and they're like, "Yo, can I play some of your songs?"
Yeah.
Like, all right, like play your favorite one of my like my whole catalog of shit.
Yeah.
Like whatever you want, just play
Yeah.
it. Also, like like if other people do that for each other like more often, and it's really we're starting to realize like since the record labels go away, it's really about who has the platform.
Yeah.
Because whoever could build, if you build it, like if you want angels, you have to build heaven, right? Like
Yeah.
so you build that platform, you offer that, and then you give it in return. I mean, or they give it to you in return, and
Yeah.
that's the way to do it because it's more organic than like staring at ads. Like we all scroll through ads.
Yeah. Yeah.
if it
It's
comes up-
communal, it's more communal, you know?
Because in real life, it's like friends like what they have a conversation. Say, oh, by the way, did you hear this sick band? Like it's like the same thing in a podcast.
Right.
Like we're having a conversation. Say, oh, by the way, did you hear this sick local band in the such and such area? It's like
Yeah.
plugging them in.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to advertise. Honestly,
agree.
mean, you could also do like the ads or whatever, like paid ads. But this is it. Like like
Yeah.
go like hit up your boys like who do this type of thing and get your stuff on it.
Spread
you
the
know, and
word.
yeah, spread the love.
Spread the love. Fuck yeah. I
Yeah,
love
spread the vibes.
that. Okay, one last question before we get to music. Is all music emo? And I put 2 question marks. Is all music emo? Like all music?
Like emotional?
Emo, just emo. The term emo.
No, I don't think all music is emo.
Oh, okay, there we go. All right. Why not?
I think some music is very utilitarian, which I still respect it. Like when you think of like a jingle in a commercial, that's still like a very well crafted piece of music, but it's not meant to emote anything in you. What it's really meant to do is to make you buy the shit. Like
Sure.
which I respect. I respect the hell out of that. Like and what I love about that is music doesn't necessarily have to be one. It's too powerful to be something just personal to any
Sure.
single person or group or species. Like it could be like the way like animals speak to each other. It could be the way
Sure.
aliens talk to each other. Like
Birds
music
every
is,
day. Birds. They sing.
Yeah, so I think music is definitely emo, but it's also more than that too. It's like so many other things.
Respect. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. That was literally today. I was at work, and that was the last question. I was like, I don't know. For some reason, I wanted to ask you that. So
Yeah.
there you go. That's all.
All right.
Climax. There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Is the mics gonna be still on with the music?
Yeah. You can talk over it if you want, and I want
All
you
right,
to.
cool.
I want you to. Yeah, I'll ask questions, but yeah, we'll let it play
All
for a
right,
little
awesome.
bit, and then we'll talk about it, man, for sure.
Yeah, just chilling.
Interactive,
Gonna-
bro. Let's go.
I'm gonna roll up some weed.
Handle your business.
All right.
All right, so the first song you picked was Adolescence, Amoeba.
Yeah, my early influences.
Why this song?
Because like I was, it was one of the first songs that I experienced as a kid to really get my blood flowing. Like I was playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Yeah.
I think on Dreamcast or some shit, and it was a great system. But like I heard that song over and over, and I was like, this is awesome. And then that song really chased me because when I was a teen going to shows, like all the bands that I went to see, they were like, oh yeah, the next one is a cover. It was so repetitive. It was so recurring that I actually got
Yeah.
sick of it. But I still love it, even though I'm
For
sick
sure.
of
Hey,
it.
you
yeah.
picked it. You picked it, bro. I didn't pick it.
Yeah,
All right, let's
I still
take
love it.
with some punk rock shit. Let's go.
We are scientists in our lab, looking through the microscope. The little glass sides, they never lie. How can this small mind cope? I've never seen anything like it before. This amoeba's got a mind of its own. But don't bringing back the stupid science world. This is reaching for the telephone.
That's two great solos.
Those are octave chords all day, man. Woo!
Awesome.
One cell creature, one cell thing, hardly knows it's alive. You're better off dead if you only knew your growing life's taking a dive. I've never seen anything like it before. This amoeba's got a mind of its own. But don't turn away, you stupid science world. This is reaching for the telephone.
Fuck it. That's some real punk
Yeah.
rock shit, man.
That's good stuff. I love that song.
That's
I
dope.
hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah. See what I mean? Like, imagine being a kid, like a little Asian kid, playing a fucking skateboard video game and hearing that blasting, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
Dude,
This is
Tony
sick.
Hawk. I give mad respect to fucking Tony Hawk, Pro Skater, and fucking all the Guitar Hero shit. Because so what I do is like I interview a lot of younger cats around here, like local artists.
Yes.
I mean, obviously I'm 45, so pretty much everybody playing in bands nowadays is younger than me. But
Not for long,
when I ask them, it's so funny. I can almost tell. Be like, "Did you play Guitar Hero? Did you play Tony Hawk?" They're like, "Fuck yeah!" I was like, "Pff, well, they had bangers on there. That's why you learn." So it's cool. I respect it a lot. I do actually respect it a lot.
They
You
had
know?
Motorhead, Ace of Spades.
Everything.
That was another
That's
song.
the jam. I fucking love Motorhead.
Ace
so
of
much, dude.
Spades.
The Ace
Fucking
of
A.
Spades. Dude.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and so, you know, like I said, being an open individual, I respect that too, because I grew up playing video games. Like, I grew up in the era where you could actually go to an arcade and play fucking arcade games. You know, I used to ride my bike down the hill. There was a fucking arcade right down the street from my house, and I would go and just, "Mom, give me some money. I'm gonna go fucking play video games." And I just get quarters and it's like, "Let's go." And then I
Yeah.
remember in junior high,
It was
Right.
video games were more meaningful back then, though.
yeah,
That
dude, it was the
before my
shit.
time,
You know, and it was like I would go to junior high, ride the bus to junior high, get dropped off, and be there like an hour early. And fucking right next to my junior high was a fucking liquor store, and they had Street Fighter 2. And I was like, I would walk up, and what you do is you put your fucking quarters on the screen, but like, I got next, dude. Like, and we just fucking tournament, dude. Like right before school, so I just get all hyped on Street Fighter 2, and then go to school and be like, fuck, I can't wait after school so I can go play Street Fighter, dude. Like,
Yeah, Street Fighter.
it was the shit, dude. That's my all-time favorite game, Street Fighter 2, for sure, for sure.
I'm glad you're a Street Fighter guy, not a Tekken guy. Even though I like Tekken, it's like
No,
chess.
Street Fighter 2
you know,
is
chess.
forever, bro, forever.
Yeah, it's a more pure, simple game.
Yeah, it's just
sure.
and the shit and the characters are just so like
Iconic.
they stood out exactly. You know, I really want a fucking full arcade Street Fighter 2, and I'll be good with it. Just one. I just need that. That's all I need, and I'll be good. Yeah, for sure.
I had one friend who's got like a
yeah.
hobby version of Marvel versus Capcom 2.
That one's
arcades.
fucking
Yeah.
clutch too. That was one of
Yeah.
my favorites too. I was always Wolverine, and always, no matter what. I was like, oh, I'm Wolverine, with the 4 players. But then there's like
Yeah.
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Simpsons and all those 4-player, like, that was cool too. I
Yeah.
liked when those things
The
came
beat 'em
out.
ups.
Yeah, bro, just fucking just mashing buttons. All right, cool. So, how did you get into punk rock? How did that come about?
That was just meeting friends and
Hanging out.
most of the shows. It's like Staten Island,
Yeah.
That's the borough that I spent a lot of my teenage years in growing up.
So you're in New York. Where in New York did you grow up? In Staten Island?
Yeah, so there within New York City, New York City's broken up into 5 boroughs:
The
Queens,
5 boroughs.
Brooklyn,
Yeah.
Bronx, Manhattan, and Staten Island. And the thing about Staten Island is it's the only borough that you could be a resident in as a kid or a teen growing up, where you could keep a drum set in your home. You can't do that in like Brooklyn or Queens.
So it's more
or
spread
fucking-
out.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
more house, like it's
Yeah.
suburban.
Suburban.
So because of that, like you had the best musicians, like kid musicians coming out of fucking Staten Island. Like
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says, like they had the space, they had the time. Like that's what we did. Like in high school, all my high school years, all we did was just
Yeah.
cut school, get fucked up on like 40s and weed, and just
Yeah.
jam all fucking day
Yeah.
until like the parents came home and we all had to leave, and we
Yeah.
just do the same shit in the woods, like with an
Yeah.
acoustic or whatever, like
Yeah.
yeah, and that's really what we did. That's what it was all about. And at the time, it felt like there was nothing else that mattered,
Yeah.
So that's why. I mean, I'm just grateful as an adult I could still carry music with me. I'm like,
Sure.
it's not. I'm never gonna let it go.
It's crazy because some of my most favorite bands at the moment, most of them hail from Long Island. So I've talked.
Long Island is another place.
I've talked Strong Island, so I've talked to a lot of New York fools. Like just even with this podcast that I'm doing, I've talked to dudes from New York, and like I've connected with them, and it's so cool. And I've been to New York once, and it was like literally in July, and it was the hottest day of the year, and I was like, "Fuck, this sucks!" Like in fucking downtown, like New York. Like rolling through all the businesses, and it's just fucking cement everywhere. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, it was different. I would go back, obviously. I just won't go in the summertime, but maybe springtime. But, Long Island was cool. It seemed a little more, it's uppity and kind of more suburban too, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
But
Long
it's cool.
Island's just it's technically not New York City, but it might as well be because it's like literally a stone's toss away.
Right, exactly. So, do you like the Bad Brains?
Yeah, of course. I love Bad Brains.
Okay, cool.
Great band.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's I didn't grow up with punk rock
They're probably
music.
like one of the. They're probably like best. Honestly, like if you ask me, like, do I like Bad Brains or Black Flag better? I would think
Bad Brains.
I would think Bad Brains was the better band for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't grow up with punk rock music. Like, I don't know punk rock like a fucking true punk rock
Well, yeah, like hardcore
enthusiast.
punk. I mean, yeah, it's hardcore punk. Like when people think, I'm not talking about like like breakdown hardcore, like
No.
legit hardcore punk.
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
fucking, yeah. Like Bad Brains is.
They were
hardcore
the
punk.
fastest, the noisiest, and then they did reggae. And it was like,
yeah.
I love that. So, like, once I learned from my very good friend, his brother was older than us, and he would show us shit, and he loved Fugazi. He loved, all kinds
Minor
of
Threat.
bands. Minor Threat.
Minor Threat was sick.
Yeah, and even his band was sick, dude. They were called Impel, and I was like,
Yeah.
dude, your brother's fucking dope. He's like, hey, he's all right. I'm like, no, fool, he's fucking sick. Like, and he was sick. But
Well, punk is cool like that because it's simple, but it's like
Yeah.
in its simplicity creates complexity. Because like, how are you gonna do this now?
I just I didn't learn that. Like, I learned about like Pantera and like Korn and Deftones and like those kinds of bands, those heavy bands, before I
Yeah.
learned about punk rock. And then once he showed me Bad Brains, I was like, this is one of the greatest fucking things I've ever learned in my life. Like, only because I loved reggae even before I knew Bad Brains. And then once I learned Bad Brains, I was like, they're heavy as fuck. They're fucking fast as fuck. The singer's a fucking crazy fuck. The fucking guitarist shreds, and they play reggae. I was like, this is the best band ever. Like, That's how I feel
Yeah.
about Bad Brain. So
Banned in DC.
yeah, dog. I literally just bought a new shirt today, a Bad Brain shirt. I was like, fuck, I haven't had a Bad Brain shirt in a long time, so I just ordered one. I was like, I need
You want to know you want to know some of the stupidest like punk bands, like the kind of punk bands you would also get into like growing up in Staten Island is like Flogging Molly,
Yep.
Dropkick
I know them,
Murphys.
yep.
Shout out to those
the
fucking
Irish,
guys.
yeah, Irish.
I love that
fellas.
shit though, because I'm an East Coast cat, you know.
For
So
sure,
you can't be East Coast and not come into contact with this type of shit. you know,
That's
like-
funny because I say cat and people are like, why you say cat? I was like, because I grew up with fucking East Coast hip hop, bro. Like, of course I
Yeah.
say cat, you know, like, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I just didn't grow up with it. I learned it, you know, kind of, you know.
You know what else I grew up with,
secondhand,
funnily
you know?
enough?
Yeah.
I also grew up with another kind of not really punk, but an offshoot of well, not really an offshoot. Yeah, it is kind of an offshoot of punk. Like I listened to a lot of Sublime. you
Oh
know,
yeah,
in
me
those
too.
punk years.
Duh, yeah,
Like a
of
lot of
course.
fucking Sublime. Yeah.
One of my all-time favorite bands. Bradley
fact, like,
Noel
one
is
of my-
just fucking. I love Brad Noel. I sing
Like if I'm at
in a way
yeah.
because of him. He taught me how.
Yeah,
to sing.
exactly. Yeah. If you pass me a guitar at a party, it's like, all right, play a song.
Yeah.
Like I'd be like, all right, I'm just gonna play like a Sublime song.
Yeah.
You know, like
I'd be like, you know, like we took this trip to Garden Grove. You know, what I mean, it's like it's easy.
Yeah.
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 I love that dude so much. I cried when I found out he died, dude. I cried so hard, dude. I was like, bro.
oh
But-
man, that was your time too. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Fuck.
You know.
Because when I got into him, he was already like gone. You know. I was like,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah, I was, you know, I witnessed it, you know, so it was crazy. But do you know who the Long Beach Dub All Stars are?
Yeah. Wait, are they a cover band?
So it was like after he had passed, the bass player and the drummer kind of they were kind of a cover. They played a lot of Sublime songs.
I know now they're
But
Sublime.
they had a
with
different
Rome.
singer.
Like, that's
yeah.
the-
Well, even now
Yeah.
is Sublime with his son, Jacob, actually sings.
Oh.
Brad Noel's son now sings in Sublime.
Okay.
That's why it's not Sublime with Rome anymore. It's Sublime with the son of Bradley Noel.
Jacob.
And he sounds good.
Okay.
Jacob Noel.
All right.
Yeah, it's dope. It's cool. Respect. I don't know. It's all kind of been regurgitated 1,000 times, but
It's redundant.
redundant.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
that.
But I love.
you know,
I have respect for
yeah.
Sublime. So.
It's a tradition at this point. Like 100
Right.
years later, I would hope like Sublime is still a thing.
Yeah, they will. They will be. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it should. It should be. And then yeah, it's good.
All right, let's get into your next one. The next song you picked was "Origin" by Savant.
Oh man, yeah. This is.
Is this raver
this-
shit? Raver days? Or?
Well, this is the song that really got me emotional about electronic music. You know,
Cool.
I never felt. I felt I was interested in it enough to DJ it, but then once I heard this song, I felt like, oh shit, like people actually pour their heart and souls
Yeah.
out onto this. Like when they make their tracks, they're not just making beats. Like some of these people would be willing to put their own voice on it. And I'm like, and I heard this song and I was like, this is a little cheesy, but fucking A, like it's honest as hell, and it sounds like banging when it drops. I was like,
Respect.
this is fire. So that's why I picked this song.
I got
yeah.
I got an artist to show you when we're done too. I think you're
Yeah,
gonna like
hells
this
yeah.
girl. She makes her own like EDM music, but like
Yeah.
she makes every style and she makes the beats herself and she sings it.
I'm the
Dude,
same way. It's like that's why it's hard
Bro,
when people
I'll
are
have
like,
to
"What
sh-
kind
I'll
of
have
music
to
do you
show
make?"
you
It's like I'll make it all. Like I'll make anything you tell me to. I'll figure it out. you
She
know,
goes
like,
by Bianco. Have you ever heard of Bianco? Bianco. Bianco.
I feel like I should have heard of it.
I'll show you. But anyway, let's play this one. This is Savant Origin. Let's go. Get your glow sticks. Let's go.
Yeah, lighters up.
Lighters up.
I love DJing with this. I always spin this track too, and people are like, "What the fuck?"
It's up. It's upbeat.
You only want more shit so you can fill your empty life. You always want more stuff, but it will never be enough. They tell us that we're not cool unless we act like fools, but you and I can be the change. Be the change.
feels a little more groovy than basic, like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's beautiful complextra.
You only want more shit till you can fill your empty life. You always want more stuff, but it will never be enough. They tell us that we're not cool unless we act like fools, but you and I can be the change. We only need you. You only need me. I only need
Okay, so why that song then? Why Savant? Origin.
It was well, like it was before that. I was into electronic music, and I was like, I liked the effect that it had on people, but
Yeah.
I always thought it was kind of like more impersonal than I realized it was. Like it was it was more about like a mechanical aspect of like keeping people dancing, keep people moving. It's manipulating the energy and the atmosphere of the dance
Yeah.
floor and the entire venue,
Yeah.
which I really respected as an engineer, not just like of sound, but of psychology at that point.
Sure.
You know, of like the collective psyche, which is a beautiful thing. I was like, this is deep.
Yeah.
You know, it's beyond just the music, but it is the music, but it's beyond the music.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great. So the thing about this song, it was the first time I really felt like, you know, emotionally connected to it. The same way I would feel emotionally connected to like my favorite rock songs or something,
Sure.
you know, like or a hip hop track.
Sure.
Like I would hear a song like that and I'll be like, holy shit, like people really do put everything on their electronic track sometimes.
Yeah.
And you know, it may be a little, you know, like on the cuff, like cheesy or whatever, like on the nose, but it's honest and it's a fucking crazy banger. So
Do you feel like you had to grow out of that perspective of, because just in the way you're explaining that right now, I kind of feel like electronic music is always at the bottom of the food pyramid. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's the
Mhm.
easiest shit. There's so
It
many
is,
DJs
yeah.
that are out there like not
Well, the idea is
even
this, like-
with fucking, you know, CDJs not even connected to anything. You know what I mean? Like I see that shit.
Yeah.
I see it. It's like,
well,
sure.
Well, the truth is, think about it. Because it's so easy, it's like, how do you stand out in that field? Then you know, if it's so
Right.
easy and anyone could do it, like, what can you do with it?
Yeah,
that
because
makes
I
you
actually know
different?
how to beat match. I know what that shit means. I know the real shit. I know I was using vinyl and fucking trying to beat match shit way out of, you know, BPMs, but I made it work. You know, so I did that. I did that work. You know, so when I see these DJs, I don't care. Do whatever the fuck you want. If you're a rich kid and can afford that shit, and
Yeah.
you
Do
know
it.
what I mean? You're not plugged into anything. Good for you. Fuck, that's fine. If you're playing a fucking iPod playlist, good for you. Cool. All right.
It's not
whatever you gotta
fun,
do.
but do
no,
it. Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
no. The best part is to actually fucking beat match shit. That's the fun part. You know what I mean? And to learn BPMs and how they mesh. You know, like
Well, it's a really good feeling when you're in the audience and then you hear like, it's slightly off and then they just like tilt the jog wheel just a bit and
Yeah.
suddenly like it's perfect and you're like, oh man,
Yeah.
that was nice.
or even
You know,
just
like-
skip the record a little bit. You gotta give it a push. Give it a little. Give it
Yeah.
a little bump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like. I've
Or
been-
give it a little hold, yeah.
Yeah, I've done it, you know? So it's like, at least, you know, not for street cred or anything, but at least I did it for myself. I did it because I wanted to do it, you know?
Yeah, it's a fun craft. I say DJing as like it takes 5 minutes to learn, but a lifetime to master.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a
Yeah.
very simple in concept, but
Yeah.
it's like takes a really really long time to understand like how to really get good at it because
Yeah.
you're playing with things that like you're treating sound as like physical elements.
Yeah.
They're not actually physical, but you're treating blocks of sound and you have to carve them away in the
Yeah.
right way, like so that they can fit together like puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah. And there's a lot of pieces that fit that you don't
Yeah.
think fit, but you have to think
Yeah, and
about
yeah,
it. You have to mindfully like put them together, you know?
and they just shape together really nicely. Yeah, that's what DJing is about to me. It's about the mixing and the alchemy and the chemistry. It's awesome. You know, like
Yeah.
anyone who hates on it, it's like, why? Like, how could you hate on this?
Because they
This is
ain't done it.
as a
They haven't done
musician,
it.
yeah. As a musician, you're like, this is fucking awesome, man. Like, I
Yeah.
get it. This is great.
Respect.
Like, yeah, people love this shit. You know, they
Yeah.
dance to it.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
It's primal.
it is primal. That's right. All right. So the last track you picked was "Gimme Shelter," Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Great fucking track. Why this song?
This is you know, this is funny because I was like, as a martial artist, like, you know, you go through some slip ups, especially if you're dealing with like swords and shit. Like, things
Ooh,
like,
how many
I
times
could-
you cut yourself?
I haven't cut myself that many times.
Oh.
but I've had close calls where
You
it's like,
cut
oh,
other
shit, I-
people? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
No, no, no.
I'm
Like,
just kidding.
well, no. Perhaps like I almost cut other people, and perhaps other people almost cut me, like plenty of times. You know, it's
Sure.
like, so this makes me think it's like, all right, like dying. You know, I'm like, I could literally die doing this shit. But anyway,
Sure.
what I really thought of was like, what would be the last song I ever heard? And it would, I said, I hope it's "Give Me Shelter." Like if I was in a movie and like I was like fighting ninjas to the death and
Yeah.
like I was outnumbered, I was like, I hope this
That's your
song got
soundtrack?
played. Yeah, that's my death song. Like that's my
Wow.
dying song.
Well, let's get into it. Let's go.
All right.
Great fucking song, by the way.
This is a great fucking song.
Agreed. Yay. That's a Rolling Stones. Give Me Shelter.
Stones.
Classic tune. Classic. There's
Yeah, I don't
always,
know why I was
anytime
pick-
I hear the Rolling Stones, I'm always like, you know, those people that are like Beatles or Stones. You know, it's like I don't really know any. I have no hand in that game, in that argument. Like, I kind of
I like the
go ahead.
I like the violence inherent in Rolling Stones music compared to the Beatles. The Beatles are
Yeah,
all
it's
about
definitely
love.
a little
They're like
more-
sex.
Yeah, it's a little
Beatles
more
are
rough.
sex. Yeah. Whereas like Rolling Stones are definitely more violence.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, it's funny because you know I'm well aware of both of those bands,
Yeah.
but you know it's always been that: are you a Beatles fan or are you Stones fan? There's an extremity in between them. I'm not 100% sure why. I mean, I guess you're explaining that is kind of like there is, there's a
A
little
spectrum.
a little more vulgarity, I guess, to the Stones. Not vulgarity, but just yeah, a little. I guess the Beatles are a little more wholesome, I would say.
Well, they're pretty vulgar too. I think the Beatles are very sexual, compared to the Rolling Stones, which are a little more violent. I mean, the Rolling Stones also delve into that too,
Yeah.
the Eros aspect. But I mean, the Beatles really tap into like feminine intuition,
Yeah.
appeals to those senses. Like it's great. But the Rolling Stones also appeals to like visceral,
More
intellectual,
masculine.
yeah, like
Yeah, for sure.
logical
I could see
pleasure.
that. I could see
Yeah.
that. I could see that. Yeah, I never got big into the Stones, but I know the hits like Satisfaction and all that.
I love the
but-
Beatles too. The Beatles are great. I
Well,
respect the Beatles.
I was telling Andreas when I talked to him last time, I was like, we were talking on kind of the same, because he picked a Beatles song for one of his
Oh, okay.
songs. And I was like, it's funny.
Wow. You picked the Beatles, I picked the Stones.
Yeah,
That's so good.
You're gonna,
That's
have to
great.
hit him up on that and see what he says. And he picked a German version of She Loves Me. And I was like, okay, but I was like, it's so funny because I used to have a friend in high school who was very much into the Beatles, like heavy, but his dad and his mom were like collectors and they had all kinds of shit in their house. And I remember going to his house and I was just like, whoa, like you guys are fucking like hardcore. Like that's crazy. So
Yeah.
I never really chose a side. But then I remember, growing up, as like I would hear all those Beatles hits on the radio, and they were my favorite songs. Like "She Loves Me" and all those pop Beatles songs. I was like, those are great songs. Like I still feel like I write my songs in that fashion, just because.
Yeah, I think the Beatles.
It's subliminally like stuck with me. Like, just that's it, But I also kind of play in a bluesy style, more closer to the Stones, So it's kind of both in a way.
Yeah, I think the Beatles learned magic. Like that's what made their songs really pop. Like they understood like metaphysical illusion, and they learned like.
But the Stones
Probably
were
some-
into sorcery, right?
Were they?
Yeah.
I don't know about. I mean, I would not doubt that.
Yeah.
If you told me that, I'd be like, I believe that
Yeah.
110% implicitly.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Look it up. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I'll believe that. Yeah.
Just like Led
They
Zeppelin.
seem like they
you
would
know,
be.
Same, yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
All these people's songs are magical because they're tapping into literal magic. Like they're
Yeah.
like, yo, we know how this shit works.
I
We
believe
know
it.
how to we know how to flip the switches and you bitches. Like,
Shit, then the ones that are susceptible, I get that. Maybe that's why I wasn't a fan of either, It's like,
well, there you go.
I was a fan of the radio hits, and only because it's what I liked. I took from them what I liked, not what they were trying to implement.
Yeah, and this tradition goes on to Taylor Swift. You think she doesn't tap into magic? She delves into like
Oh,
a lot
Jesus.
of sorcery.
Yeah, and her music's horrible. Like we saw her like on some football game. My mom was like, "Oh, she's beautiful." I was like, "No, she's not. She looks like a dude." I was like, "She's not attractive at all." So I guess you're under her spell or somebody. I don't know.
No. She is definitely very powerful.
I
like
see
a very
nothing
powerful-
attractive about her at all. So I guess I'm powerful as well. Her magic does not penetrate me.
But here's the thing: like, if she was attractive, wouldn't most of her fan base be like dudes? It's like they're not. Most of her fan base is.
And I think
chicks.
that's the point, in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Same with Ariana Grande, right? You got a hot ass.
She's
chick.
got a good
It's like-
voice, though. She's a fucking great fucking singer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she also, like Taylor Swift, writes her own music, which is very impressive.
Yeah.
I love like super pop stars that at least write their own shit. That's nice.
Yeah. I don't know, whatever. I like Ariana Grande's music more so because it kind of reminds me of the shit from the 90s that I grew up, like Mariah Carey. And so
yeah.
it's more of a nostalgic kind of association, but I've never heard a Taylor Swift song where I was like, oh, that sounds like something that I identify with, Maybe
I mean,
that's what it
personally,
is.
I don't listen to either, but yeah, I do prefer.
Well, my daughter likes
Ar-
Ariana Grande, so it's like.
Yeah, I was gonna say I prefer Ariana Grande over.
But she's a
over
good
that.
singer, so. And I know a good singer when I hear one, period, All right, let's get into your music, man. And then, so I got a couple tracks. I got 2 tracks. Just,
All right.
I just like to show off, what whoever I talk to is doing. And so let's play Jugular's first. You want to say anything about it?
This was a song that I just wanted to get some lyrics out on. You know, I wanted to sing on something,
Yeah.
and
And you play
it was a
guitar
good.
on it,
Well, yeah, because that's
but
that just
live,
seemed
like
more.
live. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it just seemed more fun to me, and just to play on guitar and sing a song. And I like to, I like to use an electric primarily. It's just you can only like play so many parties, with an acoustic guitar, and you're like,
Yeah.
all right, now I want to, yeah, I
You're
want
like,
to make something with this.
Why is
yeah.
everybody quiet? You're like, be loud.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right, cool. Here we go. Jugular. Terrorisk.
Everybody's looking like a hustler. Everybody's walking like a struggler. Now your eyes are on me like it's regular.
I was channeling Dido.
Now I
sure.
know you're aiming for my jugular. Everybody's looking like a hustler. Everybody's walking like a struggler. Now your eyes are on me like it's regular. Now I know you're aiming for my jugular.
Going through the fit right, everybody out tonight. Better kill the headlights, cutting through the red lights. Shorty looking so tight, telling me she don't bite. Got her for the one night, yeah, that's what I like. Everybody's looking like a hustler, a hustler. Everybody's walking like a struggler, a struggler. Eyes on me, boy, now you're just a regular. Try to start static and I'll cut you by the jugular.
There you go, man. That's Jugular by
Yeah.
Terrorisk. Yes, sir.
It's cool that you like that one.
It was good. I like that. And I want to emphasize that Chris sent me that video, and it's literally him playing guitar and singing over pre-produced beats, but he's playing live and singing live. So respect to that, man. I fucking love that shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I like to keep that flow element in the.
Yeah.
It's one thing to just like produce it perfectly, which I love.
Yeah.
But like, one thing that I can offer is like I feel like a lot of these producer kids can't jam. Like
Yeah.
I want to be able to express the idea of jam.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to show that one, And then I picked this one too, Outrun.
Yeah.
So this one I picked because it just made me think of the video game Outrun. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, hell's yeah.
That was in the 80s, bro. But it kind of
Fuck,
gave
I'm
me
trying to
that
remember the song.
nostalgic 80s. Here we go. It's called Outrun.
I'm trying to remember. This is good.
It's a good one. I'm telling you. I do my homework, bro.
Yeah, this was a live one. classic as fuck.
It's fucking sick. Boom.
Yep.
There you go, bro. That's
I
a
remember I
fucking
played
sick
that
ass
one
beat.
live. Yeah.
That's dope, dude. That gets me hyped right there, dude. It was like, damn. That's like middle of the night, probably like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. Just like, all right, let's get up, people. Let's wake up. Like, it's just so driving.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I wanted to make techno, and I was like, let's see if I could make techno. And
Yeah.
it's just because well, I
But it's
probably
got
could've
some
made it
attitude.
just-
It's got a little attitude to it, though. It's a little heavy. It's heavier, you know.
I was like, could I make this? Because I could easily make this on Fruity Loops, but I was like using that gear, you know,
Yeah.
like using standalone units. Like,
Yeah.
can I sync it up right? Can I mix it right? Like, can I just use these big plastic bricks with screens on them
Yeah.
to make like a banger?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that would have added the visual element, right? You know, like the whole.
Yeah.
It's like, look, I'm sequencing. I'm
yeah,
doing it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You know, I'm doing the
like
thing.
DJing in a way, you know, like yeah,
It's exactly like DJing.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
why
yeah.
it's like so natural to me. I'm like, you're just breaking down DJing like down to the instruments
Yeah.
at that point, you know.
that's sick. Respect to that, dude.
And as a
Respect to
producer, you could layer on, more instruments too on post production if you wanted to.
that. But
yeah.
I like the fact that you do it in a live feel, in a live way.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
there's producers that I told you, like DJ Shadow was one that really inspired me, and like because even now, most recently, he's incorporated like even drum pads and like, I've seen other DJs do that. Like I just found this one fool that actually does everything with electronic drums and pads. Like
Yeah. Because you can.
he doesn't even use turntables, but his shit, like I have to find him it was like some story on my Instagram or something, and I was like, fuck, what was his name? I forgot. I'll find him, but that's crazy.
You know what drives
I was
me
like, dude,
crazy?
that's sick, dude.
There's the drummers, like the electronic drummers. They use like a keyboard, like a piano keyboard,
Yeah.
and they have drums programmed. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
that's
Dude.
crazy to me. Like,
Anything's possible, especially with
Yeah.
MIDI and just, I'm telling you, the gear is fucking crazy, dude.
yeah, now you could just plug in like an Xbox controller and put a whole drum
Yeah.
kit in it. And
Yeah.
like, yeah.
That dude I showed you, Bamboon, the
Yeah.
one with the funk fucking style beats, he'll
Yeah.
make beats. What he does is he uses YouTube videos and
Yeah.
will like make beats with YouTube, like chopping in between, not in live though. I'll have to show you. Dude, it's great.
I'm just saying.
But
that's
he
the
also
best way to-
uses like an Xbox controller and fucking like will make beats on a controller.
That's the best way to flex. You understand like the dimensions of it.
Yeah.
You understand the technological dimensions, like the computing aspect, the musical aspect,
The flow.
the
It's all
sound-
flow.
the sound. Yeah, the sound engineering. I said like once you see the way in one thing, like truly see the way in one thing, you see the way in all
Everything
things. You're
opens
like,
up.
oh fuck, yeah.
for sure.
The 7 emotional blockages. And you know what? All right. So looping back to the 7 emotional blockages of mastery,
Yeah.
there's like, it's all the chakra points, right? From your root chakra all the way to your crown chakra.
Yep.
Like each 7 point is blocked by some emotional hang up.
Yep.
So the same goes with mastery for any skill, like music, or martial arts or whatever.
Yeah.
You got to clear that shit out. And once you clear each one, and what's funny, you know what made me really like stumble upon this? It wasn't any like sacred text or like Vedic text. It was literally an episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Nice.
It was the episode where Aang had to like release all of his chakra points or whatever, and I did it along with him, and I was like considering like what am I most afraid of, what am I most ashamed of, what am I most guilty of, and all etc. And fuck, like it didn't have an immediate effect, but I think that had like a slow trickling, like building into
Sure.
an avalanche type effect. Yeah.
Yeah, you stored it. You stored it
Yeah.
inside yourself. Fuck
Yep.
yeah, man. Well, let's end it on that note, because that was fucking great right there.
Hells yeah.
Much love and respect to you, Chris. Thank you for coming
Thanks
on.
for having, dude. Thanks for having me on, man.
Thank you for sharing
Great
your time with
conversation.
me. Respect, much respect. Please share where people can find you. Wherever you are, let them know, please.
Okay, so you can find me on YouTube, Chris Kimodo, Chriskimod, as in David, O, Chris Kimodo. That's how you can find me.
Yeah.
There's also the podcast, the Terrorisk podcast. It's spelled TERRORISK podcast. And that's me.
For sure. Thank you again, brother. It was fucking great talking to you. You know, let's stay connected and hopefully maybe we can do something together musically. That would be fucking sick as fuck too. No pressure.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm totally down with that, man.
Respect. Thank you to anyone out there listening, anyone out there paying us with your attention. This is your Blue Dreamer broadcast. I'm your most humble host, Dr. I, as always. Asking, please stay connected, stay tuned. And until next time, much love. Peace.